I've been on a roll recently watching awful movies on Netflix, and There's Someone Inside Your House is no exception. My god, what a letdown. I was so hoping this would be good because I genuinely love the whodunit mystery genre. But what did I get? A massive disappointment. The movie just has a bunch of half-baked ideas that never really amount to much, and I think the biggest offender is the runtime, clocking in at a measly 1 hour and 26 minutes. It's really a double-edged sword, because a movie being so short makes it possible to sit through on multiple rewatches, like I did, but most people won't give it a second look. This is the type of movie you watch once, then stash in the back of your closet never to see again. You know how most movies try to trick you into thinking this or that person is the killer, adding a lot of hints and subtle nuances in order to account for rewatchability? This movie doesn't do that. Watch it once and you're good to go. Everything is as straightforward as it can get, which is a big shame because of the source material. Now, in case you don't know, this is an adaptation of the 2017 novel by the same name, written by Stephanie Perkins, in which they replaced the killer, add brand new movie-only characters, and change the killer's motivation. Seriously, the original killer is not even in the movie, so if you're going into this thinking, awesome, my favorite book got a movie adaptation, you're going to be majorly disappointed. Great way to piss off an already existing fanbase and alienate your audience. And from what I've seen online, people are very divided on this movie. There are some people who really like it, and there are some who think it is downright terrible. And I'm leaning towards the latter. I actually read a comment the other day which said, it's like a TikTok bot wrote a movie, which is both hilarious and true. This is basically social commentary, the movie, which makes for a shitty watch. And fun fact, the movie is directed by Patrick Brice, the guy who wrote, directed, and starred in the Creep movies. Quite the multi-talent, am I right? Although this might be something you would want off your resume. Anyway, enough talk. As always, spoilers, yada yada, let's go. The movie has a pretty generic opening. A football player named Jackson arrives back home to find his house empty and a mysterious kitchen timer on the counter. He's on the phone with a buddy and it's just a real class act of a character.
Oh, the fuck. I swear my sister is licking the powders off the Doritos and putting them back in the bag. Fucking body dysmorphia at age 8.
His friend wants to drag him along on a date before their big game that night, but Jackson opts to take a nap instead. The timer from earlier suddenly goes off on his nightstand and Jackson wakes up to find it dark outside. His phone is missing, the front door is wide open, and Jackson runs outside to find his truck stolen. We then get the movie's title card. Jackson is about to call the cops, but I spy with my little eye a trail of pictures that don't belong. Following the trail, he ends up in his parents' dark and ominous bedroom. His phone goes off in the bathroom and Jackson takes the bait, hook, line, and sinker. He grabs a baseball bat to arm himself and kicks open the door. It's just filled to the brim with pictures of Jackson beating up a fellow jock. He gets his heels brutalized and ends up on the floor.
It was just like a team bonding thing, like...
Team bonding thing? What an asshole. Jackson gets his comeuppance and we jump over to the football game that he failed to attend. His dad is unable to reach him, and just as Caleb scores the finishing touchdown, everyone's phones go off. We get a short montage of the killer preparing his next mask, while the school speculates over who killed Jackson.
He targeted Caleb. Is it 'cause Caleb's gay?
Maybe he beat up Caleb because Caleb's gay. Maybe Caleb had it coming. Maybe it's just boys being boys. Maybe, who knows. Now that the opening kill is out of the way, we're introduced to the Losers Club. Makani, Alex, Rodrigo, Darby, and Zach. The school is looking for someone to blame, and Caleb seems to be receiving the brunt of it.
And when that purr turned to a girl.
We get some slightly awkward singing that's admittedly not half bad.
Actually, he's not half bad.
You said it, Zach. Now that the musical is over, it's time for lunch, so they can keep discussing possible suspects. Alex suggests Macon, Jackson's BFF from the phone call earlier. With Jackson being a huge bully and such a prick to everyone, it seems like anyone could have a motive. Zach instead brings up that his dad could have had something to do with the murder. I guess money is always a motive, but not cool to sell out your dad like that. Not a great relationship, I'm guessing. Caleb shows up and gets the stink eye from his jock buddies, but gets called over to the losers table. And let me just say, this is such bullshit. He's a star football player, he's attractive, and this is a giant ass cafeteria. He for sure has other friends willing to sit with him. But no, it's cool. I'ma sit with you guys.
I'm Darby.
I know.
I've been watching you guys from behind the bushes. What? What?
Pleasure to meet y'all, I guess. Officially.
He introduces himself to the losers so that we can learn their names. Thanks, guys.
You think I'm bad?
If I may have your attention, please. It's about oppression.
Born Justine Darby, this student showed me the meaning of courage. When at age 11, she came out to our school as she, he, and they. And now every day in my mind, I applaud her, him, and them.
Look, I'm a good person. Oppression is bad. Being trans is good. It takes courage. Now that I'm done talking, a moment of silence for Jackson. Darby gets very upset about Katie's comments, so to cool off they end up smoking in the car, because smoking is cool.
They don't smoke cigarettes anymore.
Oliver Larson, because he's a fucking sociopath.
No, wait, smoking is not cool. And for some reason, over the course of 3 minutes, we get spoon-fed a ton of exposition. My favorite type of exposition is through dialogue. Zach hates his dad, as does the rest of the town apparently. Alex hates Oliver because... I have no idea, it's never explained. Because he lost his parents? Odd justification, but alright. Makani recently moved here, and the scene ends with them all cheering. Later that night, Makani's eating dinner with her grandma. Gram is suffering from sleepwalking and has just signed up for some sort of sleep institute program to help her deal with it. Makani, for some reason, is more interested in her drinking the tea.
But you gotta drink that tea for me.
Is she trying to drug her grandma, or what's happening? Although it seems like grandma isn't the only one struggling with some sort of problem. Apparently, Makani has changed her name and tried to escape something from her past. We don't know what it is yet, but we'll get there eventually. After dinner, Makani receives a text from Oliver, the guy who was giving her looks in the cafeteria. He asks if she's writing a new poem, which she promptly ignores, and looks at some of their old pictures. They had a fling this past summer, but since school started, she's been giving him the cold shoulder. She then says goodnight to grandma, turns off the lights, and tucks herself into bed. And basically, as soon as she's shut off the lights, she gets a new text from Ollie. Dude, it's been 6 minutes. Calm down. How does he even know she ignored him? She didn't open the messages. Is he standing outside her window? Ollie, is that you out there? Makani wakes up from a reoccurring nightmare she's having, which relates to her earlier fear. She heads into the living room where she finds a complete mess and a plant in the oven. I ain't cleaning that up. She looks outside and... Ah! Jump scare.
You were sleepwalking again.
Sleepwalking? It looks like your kitchen was hit by a freaking tornado. Did you forget there's a killer on the loose? Shut the damn door and grab some handcuffs for grandma or something, Jesus. The next day, Katie is preparing the church ceremony while talking to someone she thinks is Marcus, a fellow classmate. She's telling him how she suspects that Caleb orchestrated the killing.
I think he hired someone.
Because if there's one thing high school football players are known for, it's their disposable income. Unless his dad is Scrooge McDuck, I don't think Caleb is running around hiring assassins and hitmen. She then receives a text from the real Marcus asking if she can ride solo today.
Seriously, stop it. I know you're not sick.
What are you talking about? You can clearly hear my sick voice. Suddenly, a podcast starts playing from the speakers, a podcast she might not want people to find out about.
Some races have higher IQs than other races.
The killer pops out behind her and she's just spewing all kinds of excuses. She's not racist, she simply looks down on those who aren't white. She also exclaims how she posted it anonymously, which, okay, why wouldn't you then use a voice changer? You could easily find one through the internet and it would alleviate a lot of potential stress. Anyway, she bolts to the door only to find it locked, obviously. She gets slashed across the chest while people start gathering outside the door and waiting to be let in. Katie manages to buy herself some time and makes a run for the confessional. And it really makes no sense for the killer to take his sweet ass time. The killer is on the clock. He's got maybe a couple minutes before someone unlocks the door and comes waltzing in. He starts stabbing the confessional, and when he stops, Katie finally phones the cops.
Hi, the killer's here. He's wearing a mask of my face and he's forcing me to record offensive hate speech and
My god, look how fucking flimsy this box is. Did the priests cheap out on materials? It's so paper thin you can practically see through it. I'm guessing they need to keep the church doors closed at all times so it doesn't get torn down by a gust of wind. Also, finding the killer just became 100 times easier. Just look for the guy whose arms are full of splinters. What an idiot. The churchgoers eventually make their way inside and find Katie strung up like some Christmas decoration. Oh my god, Katie, what are you doing? Just hanging out. Yeah. Since there have now been 2 highly public kills, the police hold a press release and enact a citywide curfew. They inform everyone that the killer targets those with sensitive information, and the killer is most likely someone from their school. They're basically saying, hey, if you're keeping big secrets, you done goofed. And Makani's like, big secrets? I have one of those. So she checks her name on the internet. Throughout the movie, we're getting small bits and pieces of her backstory, but so far the only thing we know is that it involves fire. Maybe she's the Avatar and was attacked by the Fire Nation, we don't know yet. Makani ends up getting a call from Rodrigo where he complains and bitches about his life. Ugh.
Well, I guess we can't hide anything anymore, can we?
Aha, a bit of foreshadowing. The next morning, a whole bunch of people are called into the sheriff's office for questioning. The gang is discussing motives, suspects, the whole shebang. Caleb comes to sit down because, hey, remember? They spent one scene together. Now he's part of their friend group. Hey Darby, your new furniture looks great from the yard. Say what now? Zach also chimes in with his own theories.
The sheriff?
There is a referendum in the ballot next month to dissolve the police department, but not if he solves a series of murders.
So far, it seems like he's just pointing the finger at everyone. First, he suggests his dad because of money, and now he suggests the sheriff because corruption? At least it's not as personal as Alex's Oliver smear campaign.
Or it could just be the most obvious.
Zach ends up going free because his dad made a call and had him plead the fifth. He ends up walking outside and oh boy, I think I'd rather talk to the cops. His dad ends up grilling him because Zach is kind of an underachiever. He can't take all the blame though. His dad being hated by everyone won't bring him a lot of friends. Anyway, Zach heads home and the sheriff finishes up the interrogations inside.
It's funny how sometimes it's easier to be ourselves around strangers than our own friends. I should write that down. You're free to go. Thanks. It's funny how...
Me writing down my scripts. Also, since Makani and Oliver were the last ones left, they started talking again and head out to get their freak on. Wait, it's dark outside. Just how long were they in there for? They end up parking in some random ass driveway and start undressing. Until some asshole runs right by their car and surprises them.
Looks like Zach's gonna be the next one murdered. By his dad.
Turns out Zach is hosting a secret party, which is his way of sticking it to his dad. The genius of it is, it's not a normal hush hush don't let anyone know type of secrets party. It's a tell everyone about your secrets type of party. Because hey, the killer can't target us for our secrets if there are no more secrets. Everyone, get in here. Air all your dirty laundry. Get it out in the open. Which might be the dumbest idea any character has ever come up with. Because no one is gonna share actual damaging secrets. If I'm a kidnapper who gets off on abducting and torturing people in my basement, do you believe I would ever tell anyone? No, I'd make up some bullshit about how I wet my bed till I was 7 or something. I would still keep the real secrets to myself and I would still be a potential target by the killer. The party is a very convenient way to get everyone to gather at one location, however. Makani and Oliver walk inside and hey bestie, come sit with us. Not Oliver though, no loners allowed. Hey, remember that you and me thing we got going on? Forget about it.
I might have a real confession. I got the fellowship.
I have a secret crush on...
Same.
I write poetry.
Every day I sneak into Darby's room to smell his bedsheets. Dude, but see, this is what I mean. It's all fun and games to them, and their actual secrets remain hidden. And now that everyone has arrived, we can start the main attraction. Zach pulls out a gun, and I guess everyone, even those with their backs turned, telepathically knew that he had a pistol. Don't worry though, it's only filled with meaning. And weed. Turns out his dad is not only an asshole, but possibly also a Nazi supporter. And within a few hours between talking to his dad and getting home, he somehow turned most of his collection into pipes, hookahs, and bongs. So now we can finally get this party started. So while everyone's getting high and distracted, Alex and Rodrigo sneak off for some alone time.
What do you want?
Chips? Salt and vinegar?
Fuck off.
I agree with you, unnamed extra number 6. Salt and vinegar sucks. After finishing up, Alex runs on ahead while Rodrigo takes a couple seconds to compose himself. But what's this on the ground? Free drugs! Yummy! Rodrigo follows the jelly bean trail, hoping to find a pot of gold at the end. Just as he picks up the painkiller bottle, everyone's phones go off. I guess now the killer even has time to make memes? Before Rodrigo can explain himself, the lights go out and oh shit, the killer's here! Everyone scatter! It's only 100 of us versus 1 of him! We're outnumbered! Run! Luckily for everyone else, Rodrigo is his new target and we get a pretty lousy chase scene. What is wrong with the wood in this town? The killer eventually catches up with him, tasers him, and slashes his throat. And then there's just a random cut to the next day? Next week? This has to be the worst follow-up to any kill I've ever seen. We don't see them find his body, we don't see a funeral. They're just sitting together looking at old pictures. It legitimately feels like there's a scene missing. This fake crying doesn't make me feel anything about his death, and he's never brought up again. I'm so sad about Rodrigo dying. Rodrigo? Who's that? Oh well, now that we've had an unspecified amount of time off screen, time for another football game!
Sorry about your friend. Just something I did.
Is this what we call character development? And for some goddamn reason, Alex is just convinced that Oliver's a killer.
He was a disturbed kid in a real way. The killer used a taser, babe. Who uses tasers? Cops. And who lives with a cop?
Rodrigo insulted him and then died. He had a taser. Only cops own tasers. His brother's a deputy. He can cover for him. Cops can do internet and background checks. He's white. It couldn't have been any more obvious unless he had a tattoo on his forehead that literally said school shooter.
He poisoned our water supply, burned our crops, and delivered a plague unto our houses! He did? No, but are we just gonna wait around until he does?
You just fucking hate everyone.
Makani doesn't take kindly to her friends insulting her secret boy toy, so she walks away from them and heads home. She receives a text from Ollie and sees her grandma off because she's going to that sleep clinic thing. After a good night's sleep, Oliver shows up at her door and offers to take her to the ocean. Oh boy, you better pack my swimsuit. Oliver also has a cassette player because they have this thing where they zone out and listen to music together. It's not important. They drive into their local cornfield and Ollie plops them onto the hood of his car.
Not exactly the Pacific, but the fields.
Sucks that it's not the beach, but I will admit, it is very calming. They have a very brief makeout session until they're interrupted by Ollie's phone going off. Phone cockblock. Makani gets back into the car and accidentally discovers a taser. Oh no. She gets all frightened because this is the only taser on planet Earth and Ollie had it stashed. She ends up asking Ollie about his parents because maybe the rumors are true.
He crashed into a tree. My dad was driving. It killed him instantly. And, I mean, they were drunks, you know, always were, but that part gets, like, left out conveniently.
And that's the extent of his backstory. As far as we know, he's telling the truth because the movie doesn't bring it up again. But then how does he have such a poor reputation? Because he had behavioral issues when he was 6 years old? That makes no sense. The whole Oliver killed his parents foreshadowing? Straight out the window. There are so many plot threads that are simply abandoned. Why did they make such a big deal out of Oliver's parents? I don't know. Why did Alex despise Oliver so much? I don't know. What exactly is Dave's role in this story? I don't know. Will anything in this movie matter? I don't know. Anyway, Ollie hints at Makani's past, which makes it seem like he knows more than he lets on, which is all but confirmed after she storms out of his car.
Makani! Makani Sunwoo! I know you!
More like Makani's son who, am I right? No, but seriously, I'm not sure why she gets so upset. It's not like she did a very good job at covering her tracks. There can't be that many fucking Makanis in Osborne, Nebraska. One quick Google search is all you need to spill the beans. I'll get to it later, but she made the headlines. It wouldn't be hard to find. Huh, I wonder why her whole demeanor changed. I doubt it had anything to do with the taser I hid in my glove compartment. Oh well. She ends up getting a lift from Daring Dave, the town's one and only Uber driver, who's acting super sketchy tonight. There's something off about the car as well, because it smells too much like a red herring.
You're a nice girl, aren't you? It's always nice to have a nice girl in the car. Are you here all alone?
Tone down the creep factor, dude. Jesus Christ. At this point, the movie realizes it's only got around 30 minutes left and starts speedrunning potential suspects. Look, Ollie's got a taser. It could be him. Look, Dave's got the crazy eyes. He might have killed some people. Look, the sheriff, maybe? He keeps checking up on Ollie. It's totally not one of her friends. Trust me. Makani can't get out of the car fast enough and runs inside the house. She sneaks a peek from behind the curtain and watches as Dave skulks outside for a few seconds before he heads out. Since Dave was out there acting like a total narc in Makani's home alone, she is on full alert. She grabs a knife and barricades her door. She's unable to stay awake and dozes off, only to find her knife missing and the door open. She tries calling the cops, but to no avail, but she hears a fire in the living room.
Ollie?
Ollie, if this is a romantic gesture, I'm gonna be pissed. Okay, great, and I'll keep moving towards the danger. Brilliant. The walls are covered in pictures of a burn victim, which relates to her past. The Terminator tasers her through the window and starts dousing her in gasoline. Before he can finish the job, Alex is heard yelling in the distance. Makani uses the distraction to trip the killer, who drops his mask and runs off. Alex, it was Ollie. Oh my god, are you sure? No, I didn't see his face, but it could be. Good enough for me. Makani gets taken to the hospital where all her friends are waiting for her, or those few that are left anyway. Since her secret's now been exposed by the killer, Makani's ready to share what really happened that fateful night. It was essentially a hazing ritual gone wrong. Her and a bunch of other students were taken in front of a bonfire and boozed up. That's certainly not a recipe for disaster. Things got a bit too heated, and Makani accidentally pushed one of the girls into the fire. The girl was badly burnt, but survived. Makani went to trial over it and was eventually acquitted, but she received a lot of hate and threats because of it. Her parents split up, she took her mom's maiden name, and moved in with her grandma. Mistakes were obviously made, but that's not who she is anymore.
You bring me donuts, because you know they soothe me. You proofread my essays. You stand up for me in public.
You give me your Wi-Fi password when I come over. You let me borrow your pencils. I get it. This is supposed to be a heartwarming moment between her and her friends, but it's just so silly to me. I get being supportive, but they're giving her compliments for the most basic of actions. It would be one thing if she ran into a burning house to save your pet goldfish or some shit, but proofreading your essays? Is that the best he could come up with? That's just common courtesy and doesn't make their friendship any more believable.
You gave Ollie Larson the benefit of the doubt.
And he's a murderer.
Thank you for chiming in, Zach. They all agree to keep no more secrets and end the scene with a big old group hug. Not long after, Oliver gets taken into custody because a losers club sold him out, and it's really dumb. Wouldn't it make more sense that this Jasmine orchestrated the attack for revenge? What does Oliver have to gain from it all? Ollie hasn't shown any malice towards Makani at any point in the story. He's always seen smiling at her and showing her affection, sending her cute good morning messages and shit. I get that not everyone is known to bear a grudge. They don't even entertain the idea that it could be anyone else. We as the viewers have no reason to suspect Jasmine, since she hasn't been introduced until now, but the characters don't know that. Ugh, whatever. Some time passes and Makani has managed to get back on her feet. There seems to be an event going on at the corn maze, and some of the students are going there. But plot twist, Ollie's out of custody because his brother let him out. Definitely not because he's innocent and has an alibi. Hey Oliver, why'd you get released?
Nepotism!
That's Oliver's music. Makani books it and sprints into the school. Luckily for her, she bumps into Caleb. Yes, safety.
Everyone's outside.
Or not. The killer ditches his knife and hands it over to Makani. Oh shit, now her fingerprints are going to be all over the murder weapon. Now the cops will want to question her, her past will be brought up again, and oh, it doesn't? Carry on then. Also, what the fuck is Caleb even doing here? Everyone went on the school trip except for Caleb, who's just wandering around the empty hallways? The rest of our friend group shows up as well, and now we have pretty much all the main characters in one place. We've got Oliver, Darby, Alex, Makani, and Zach is missing. So Zach is a killer. Got it. They figure, what the hell? We don't need to stay and wait for the cops. So they leave the would-be crime scene and drive towards the cornfield. Turns out the killer has been quite busy, as the whole place has been lit on fire. They blast through with Oliver's shitty car to try and save their classmates, and let's just pretend like they aren't all gonna die from asphyxiation. It's also funny because the movie frames this as a big hero moment for Makani, conquering her fear, moving past her traumatic experience with fire, but it's undeserved because she's never shown any distress when around fire previously. Even after getting out of the car and having the fire all up in her face and frying her nose hairs, she doesn't even wince. You brought the bloody knife? They venture further into the fiery death trap, find some dead bodies, rescue the football team, split up because 4 versus 1 would be unrealistic, and track down the masked maniac.
Damn it! Do you know how many times... Do you know how many times I've dreamt of that moment?
Yep, turns out the killer was Zach. Dun dun dun. And now we get the annual villain monologue speech.
I had the perfect thing to say to his face. Second guessing giving me the art of war on my 9th birthday.
Do you regret teaching me how to flay a fish? So the reason Zach did all this is because his dad wasn't nice enough to him? His motivation is not very clear. He calls his dad a hypocrite and says he can't hide from his dad's name? I guess just a psychopath doing psychopath things?
They're all putting on these fake faces.
I'm showing these people who they are.
Ah, he wore the masks because it's symbolic, not to hide his true identity. I see. And now, since Makani just so happened to show up, he's gonna pin all the murders on her. She holds the knife that killed the previous victims, so Zach killed her in self-defense. Or so he says.
Which is why I had to protect myself by killing you.
That's why I had to protect myself with this sword that killed my dad. Please don't ask any more questions. It's all one big coinkydink. Oliver, however, has other ideas, so he distracts him with a taser gun, and bipolar Makani attacks him with a knife.
Zach, stop, please. Look, this isn't you.
Blaming everyone else for what's wrong when you're what's wrong, Zach. You're the problem. Look at me, Zach. Look at my face.
Jesus, Zach might not be the only psychopath here. You guys were like the bestest of friends until 5 minutes ago. Don't you need more time to process this betrayal? And then she kills him in cold blood? What the fuck? She then hops over to Ollie's side as the cops can be heard in the distance. They both survive, they continue their relationship, everyone gets where they want to be in life, Makani recites a poem at their graduation, they all clap, they're all happy, and there, that's it, movie's over. There's no more time, wrap it up and get out of there. This might honestly be the most abrupt ending I've ever seen in my life. And no, I didn't skip over anything, this is genuinely how the movie ends. A quick 1-minute montage of everything working out. The movie ends at exactly the 1 hour and 26-minute mark, which is really short, especially when you factor in that the whole killer reveal lasted a total of 4 minutes, which is fucking stupid for a magnitude of reasons. The movie is a whodunit murder mystery. Even if everything leading up to the reveal is a steaming pile of shit, if you nail the ending, you can save the experience. Even if the characters suck, the dialogue sucks, the pacing sucks, you have to stick to the landing. But they didn't. They spent straight up no time developing it, because the movie doesn't have time for anything. They just put it in high gear and raced to the finish line for no apparent reason. There are no repercussions, no consequences, no dwelling on anything that happened. Just a quick speech and it's over. The movie just killed off like 100 people with this fire. What happened to the aftermath? They introduced private security just to add one guy to the body count. Unless you're trying to tell me he is the only one hired? Is it his job title? Is he private security? This was their chance to do something new and creative. They already butchered the source material, just go all in. Have the killer win. Make his motivation actually make sense. Don't let him be a generic bad guy just for the sake of being a bad guy. Remember Thanos? He was a great villain. He was built up over time, they properly fleshed him out and his motivation made sense. Even if you didn't necessarily agree with him, you could see where he was coming from. Zack is just like, tee, white privilege, I kill for fun. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, but give us something. They went for the safest and suckiest ending imaginable. It's already been done to death by way better movies. This ending offended me more than all the stupid white man bad nonsense the characters kept spewing, which I didn't even bring up. Whoever wrote this garbage had an agenda that they were pushing hard. I usually don't even care about this sort of thing, but it was so in your face that it was hard to ignore. When 1/3 of the movie's dialogue is dedicated to race, white privilege, man bad, that takes me out of the movie.
Of course they blame the gay guy.
Did bitch just call a princess instead of someone actually oppressed?
If you're white, what's good on TV? If you're brown, why are you murdering?
By that, I mean blaming it on someone who's not white and becoming a local hero.
Because I was born with privilege? Why should I feel bad about that?
Sorry about that, I ended up going on a bit of a rant at the end there. This last half of the movie just annoyed the hell out of me. There was still some stones left unturned, but I think the video has gone on for long enough already. Thank you all for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all soon.